So the EDP 445 documentary finally dropped. If you watch my channel, you've probably already seen my reaction documentary or my reaction video to the documentary. If you haven't, shameless plug, go ahead and check it out. It'll be a good video to watch. But just getting into the meat and potatoes of it, spoiler alert, EDP's not a good dude by any means necessary, and I didn't think that this documentary was gonna paint him in any good light or make him look any better than he does right now. But I definitely didn't think it was gonna make him look much much worse than he does, or than he did before this documentary came out. Like, he is a monster by all means necessary. By all definition, he is a monster. Like, the dude is literally should be put down, in my opinion. I don't understand how he is still alive, roaming the earth. Somebody needs to do some vigilante justice. But I thought the documentary was very good. I thought it uncovered a lot of stuff as far as going through EDP's entire history. I understand a little bit kind of the way that he is necessarily. Um, there are also some stuff that the documentary goes through that I didn't really think it was gonna be in the documentary, and it kind of exposes a bunch of different stuff, alongside of EDP just being a huge pedophile. Like, there's talks about Gideon and Skeeter Jean, and then of course they bring in the famous Chris Hansen, and then there's just bunch of other YouTubers that are featured in, as well as there's a big focus on one of the decoys that was used to try to catch EDP in these YouTuber predator skits. Who she kind of got like manipulated and forced to do a bunch of stuff, which I'm taking her word for it, honestly, because she's a child. I don't think she would willingly do a lot of this stuff, especially if it was with EDP. So I think in some way, manner, or form, she was probably coerced at the very least, if not forced by some form or definition, into doing stuff. But that's kind of what I want to. That's kind of what I want to talk about as far as like this video. So like I said before, the documentary does like not hold back at all with EDP. They make him look like a fucking monster, like a creature that has just been created only for pure evil and chaos. Like, he only lives to make other people's days worse, other people's lives worse. Um like, the opening scene is him talking about how as a kid he used to watch WWE Raw, and he used to vote, like, he used to be on the side of the supervillains, quote unquote, the bad guys of the WWE, because WWE is all scripted and whatnot. So you can't have good and bad guys, I guess. But like, who the manufactured bad guys were, that was always who EDP connected to, and he always thought the bad guys were the coolest guys ever, because they, in quote unquote, they just got to do whatever the fuck they wanted to, and like fuck everybody else, shit like that. Like, that is honestly deplorable stuff to hear from another human being. Like, genuinely. First of all, it is all scripted. I don't know if EDP ever learned that the WWE is all scripted, but yeah, it's not real. Like, these people that are playing supervillains, they're playing supervillains. They're not real supervillains in real life. Like, and there are some cases where you can like make the argument that the people that do play the supervillains are kind of assholes in real life, but they're not like go out and slam a baby into a car type supervillain, which is like kind of what he's describing himself as, even though he himself is not that. Like, the most he's done is try to sext underage minors. Like, he hasn't actually he hasn't actually like done anything that's like notably crime worthy, other than like sexting minors. Not saying that that's not a huge crime in and of itself either. Don't try to take that out of context, but like, comparing that to, I don't know, like a triple homicide, which one do you think is worse? Like, which one do you think should go away for it? Like, if you had to give one the death penalty, which one should get the death penalty, like, probably the triple homicide. Point being, like, his brain is actually underdeveloped. I have a theory that his brain, something happened to it when he was in middle school or something that caused a serious like psychological event in his brain just stopped developing, because throughout the majority of this documentary he just presents himself as a pretentious, rebellious, like teenager douchebag, quite literally. And this is a 30-year-old man child we're talking about, who comes off as like a 13-year-old dickhead, you know? Like it's kind of it's very comedic to see, and it's also very sad to see at the same time, because this is a real person who is struggling from mental health issues, and clearly they do not want to get any sort of help for it. Also, I don't know if he ever was given the option to as a kid. Like, it's kind of on the parents at that point. Like, they have to identify that at a young age before it becomes a big issue later on, or else you get people like this in society. I don't know how present his parents were in his life like that necessarily. Like, I'm sure that they were there, like obviously he grew up and shit, but I don't know how much they cared for their son if this is what turned out of him. But it's kind of like, just the whole documentary doesn't make him look good whatsoever. But there's so much shit that the documentary goes into that makes him look way worse, like sending shit pics to minors, sending dick pics to minors, fucking feet pics, just sending pics in general to minors. If I got a picture from EDP, I would be fucking terrified and call the local sheriff's department. That dude literally looks like if the boogeyman ate three other boogeyman. Like, why is he so fucking fat, dude? Go on a diet. Jesus Christ. I don't understand. And that's the thing too. He says that his weight loss issues started in like late middle school, early high school and whatnot. Like, that kind of shows right there and then that his parents necessarily weren't that like caring as far as his health and his like just overall well-being and whatnot, which I think is kind of concerning as far as how he grew up, and how this whole persona of his manifested and whatnot. I also want to talk about like I said, there were allegations that were made by one of the decoys against Gideon. So if you don't know who Gideon is, I don't know how, but Gideon Adams, he's another YouTuber who did predator catching stunts on YouTube. He would do kind of like how the guy who ended up catching EDP in the first place caught him. He transitioned into that type of content with a dude named Skeeter Gene. And the thing is, Gideon would often use like a lot of his own fans and stuff as decoys, which, like, of course, if you have that type of relationship with a fan, you can get them to do a lot of stuff that a normal person wouldn't necessarily do, even if it's like somebody that's hired to do this type of stuff. Like, police often do decoy like meetups like this so they can catch real predators in the wild, but they don't have them do nearly as much shit online as Gideon had the decoys do. Like, for example, the decoy Kayla, who is featured in the documentary, she's talking about how fucking EDP sent her tons and tons of nude pics and shit pics and fucking just disgusting graphic imagery and whatnot, that she had to be like, oh my god, oh this is so hot, oh this is so cute, send me more, like, according to her. And while there's no like screenshots or anything to prove all this, I don't think she's come public with anything yet, or at least I haven't found anything. I mean, I definitely am one to believe the victim's side over Gideon's side, just because there are a couple different factors that go into this. Like I said before, the main factor of this is she is a child. Children do not actively want to partake in this kind of behavior, foreplay, scheming, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Honestly, like, the children don't want to get shit pics from grown men. I don't know how much clearer I have to make that statement, but children don't want to get shit pics and dick pics from fat ass grown men like EDP. So for her to do this, she was more than likely coerced into the idea of it being, oh well, this is gonna go viral, maybe you might even get some money out of it if I can like get a good paycheck out of YouTube, things like that. I have no idea at that point. I'm speculating what Gideon may or may not have told Kayla in order to go ahead with this stuff. But like in the documentary itself, she very much makes it clear how uncomfortable she was doing all this stuff, and how uncomfortable she is just visibly talking about it is disturbing and upsetting. And I genuinely feel bad for her in the fact that she had to make this documentary to be able to be vocal about what happened. Because another take on it, or another thing about it, is she she understands that Gideon is such a huge YouTuber with millions of fans that aren't the smartest and will kind of just take Gideon's word for it because it's Gideon. They like him. They kind of have a follower based relationship with him. So anything he says is like God's word essentially. There are people out there that behave like that, unfortunately, and a lot of those people roam the internet. It's kind of the hanging platform for those types of people without a functioning frontal lobe. Point being, if she were to actively talk out about any of this stuff that Gideon says, of course Gideon can just easily rebut and say, well, she's kind of just spinning a yarn, she's talking nonsense, she's strawmanning, she's doing all this, she's doing all that, and then without showing any bit of receipts, his chat will eat it up. Of course he can also give proof, and that will genuinely make veritability to his claims, and at that point, like, I have a reason to believe him over Kayla. But the same thing goes for Kayla. She says she has tons and tons of screenshots and evidence against Gideon with all the claims that she says about how he was manipulating her and forcing her kind of into doing this, and how she didn't necessarily want to do this, but he would kind of manipulate her in ways. I know I said that twice, but like, just she didn't have a fun time doing this necessarily. And I believe her right now. If she were to show evidence, I would believe her even more, because it's kind of victim's word over perpetrator's word. And then if she were to put evidence on that, that's just, that's irrefutable at that point. Also, another point I want to make is Gideon stepped away from YouTube. A lot of people don't necessarily know what that is. People chalked it up to his latest arrest, being that he got arrested for trying to do a pred catch, and in his actions, because he got a fan arrested too. I guess he felt bad and was necessarily like trying to turn over a new leaf, trying to be a new person and whatnot. I kind of think honestly, and it makes a little bit of viable sense, doing all this shit, especially with EDP, got him in a bit of legal trouble with Kayla, as far as like what's going on, to the point where he's just not doing pred catches anymore. And he thought altogether, well, if I can't do pred catches, my audience isn't going to like what I'm doing. I should just quit YouTube for a little bit. Then I can come back once everybody's forgotten about me and just try something new. And then they'll be like, oh, new Gideon content. Why don't I eat this up? And it's happened time and time again. And while there's no like real proof to 100% concrete say that is what's happening, that's his plan, and that's why he stepped back from YouTube, it would make sense. He has the arrest that just happened, where he also got a fan arrested, as well as he has this documentary that just came out where he's not even the star, but he's also being put on blast for it by somebody that was supposed to be like somebody that was helping him, I guess, necessarily. And so it's like, it would make sense if he did want to step back, because all of this shit was happening at once, and he was just like, man, this is really tanking my image right now. Maybe I just have to fuck off for a minute and let everybody forget about me, which is kind of like the best play to do right now. If you're not going to apologize for anything that you've done, or like come clean about anything that happened between Kayla and you, or just even talk about it at all, say, I don't agree with any of these claims that she's made, and this is all the evidence that I have to prove it. He hasn't made any of that shit. So it's kind of just very fishy on his part regardless. And that's why I have no choice at this point but to believe Kayla and what she said. Because until he comes out with any sort of like statement or evidence or whatnot, it's just gonna be kind of hard to not take her word for it. It was stupid me. I wasn't even fucking recording. Jesus. But what I also wanted to talk about is the documentary, a little bit more than halfway through, tries to take a bit of an emotional turn in EDP's sake, of course, and tries to tug on your heartstrings a little bit in his favor. That shit did not work. Let me just tell you right now, Mike Kloom, I felt less worse for him. Or, yeah, I felt less worse for him than I did before hearing that he had to be on dialysis. Uh, Shocker. That's the whole thing. So he has kidney failure. I think it's like stage 5 kidney failure or whatever. So those bitches are shutting down. It's like that scene from SpongeBob where his brain's on fire and everybody's like scrolling through the files just trying to find his name. We can't find his name. Like his kidneys are just fucking shutting down, dude, blowing up and just disintegrating. So he has to go through a medical procedure called dialysis, which is like this something I don't know necessarily. It's a procedure that helps you live longer, I guess, if you have kidney failure. But the documentary openly states that people that start dialysis from like the moment that they start it generally only live like another 5 years once they're on dialysis. And he's been on dialysis for about 4 years now, according to the documentary. So he's on night 5, folks. Let me just tell you that much. He's on night 5. He's going to be facing Foxy, Chica, Freddy, Bonnie, maybe even Golden Freddy might make an appearance if he's lucky enough. So I mean, this dude is generally like he's on his last leg for lack of a better term. Like dude is probably gonna die soon, and I mean, of course, Mike tries to use that as bait to make you feel a little bit better about why EDP may have been doing all this shit. It's like, oh, well, I mean, he doesn't have that long to live. Maybe he just doesn't care about the consequences necessarily. Bull fucking shit. I don't care. That's not a good reason to be a monster pedophile and ruin kids' lives, dude. Like genuinely, that is not any reason to do any of the shit that he has done and wants to continue doing just because he has fucking up to a year left to live speculatively. Like it's not even confirmed 100% if he is going to die. That's the statistic, I guess, for people that are on dialysis. Granted, he is a walking piece of lard, so I mean he probably will die soon. But you can't even just sit on that and say that that's granted, and just because that's granted, like all of his actions are null and void. And that's not even what they're saying, but they're trying to paint it in the light of, well, he is dying, so like maybe instead of just being so harsh on him, we could try to like change our attitude and help him see the light these last couple of times he's going to be around. Fuck no. I would rather burn this guy to the ground for the last year that he's around. Like, honestly, he is a piece of shit that deserves to rot in hell, and he will be there very, very soon. I have no doubt in my mind about it. Now, as far as that goes, do I think somebody should rob him in the next year? Maybe. Would it be funny if somebody broke into his house and stole literally just his TV? Because that's like from the documentary. Like he doesn't. Let me tell you how broke EDP is, dude. They talked in the documentary about how he is 25K in the hole off of God knows what. Like I don't fucking know. Probably medical expenses if I had to guess. But he's in debt, massive amounts of debt, unpayable amounts of debt at this point, and he sleeps on a double XL mattress, like that's on the floor, no bed frame, and he has a couch and a TV in his living room, and that's literally in a table that's like that he eats at, and that's literally his whole house. So like I think somebody should just rob him, take his TV, and fucking he will have nothing to do. And I think that would be hilarious, bro. Like he can't. I don't even know. I don't even know how if he because he can't post on social media anymore. I know he got blocked off of like basically every social media platform on existence, but dude doesn't even have a computer. So there's nothing. Honestly, the TV would be the only thing of value to steal. But if somebody did that, that'd make my year. Honestly, that'd make my year. Somebody stole EDP's TV. Wrapping it up though, overall, documentary was very good. I enjoyed watching it. I think there were some parts where it definitely caught my attention as far as what was being talked about, and there were some stuff that came out that I had no idea about, like all the shit with Gideon and the decoy and whatnot. And I also like that they had Chris Hansen sit down and talk to EDP, because I also say this in the reaction video. If either one of them, EDP or the one dude, I'm blanking on his name, who originally caught EDP. Oh, I think I said I meant to say Gideon beforehand. If Gideon or the dude that originally caught EDP had tried to get Chris Hansen in this involvement, 100% he would have been behind bars the first time. And Chris Hansen also says that to him. He's like, if I was doing this investigation, you would have been behind bars, right? And EDP's like, I'm not. So he's like, just he knows like Chris Hansen's onto him now, and I think that is a huge thing, because Chris Hansen has ties, so he can still. And at the end of the documentary, they say he can still be prosecuted up until 2027. So I think Chris Hansen's probably going to start pushing for this dude to be prosecuted at this point now that he is inundated in the case himself. I also want to say though, at the same time, I think Chris Hansen saying that is kind of oxymoronic to his character and kind of how he carries himself, because like Skeeter Jean, who is a predator catcher off of YouTube that's also in the documentary, talks about how he loves Chris Hansen and he kind of considers himself like a YouTube version of Chris Hansen, and he actually reached out to try to work with him a bunch of times, and Chris Hansen kind of shut him down. So like, what if one of these times Skeeter Jean was actually trying to catch EDP and Chris Hansen just shut him down? Like at that point, Chris Hansen very much had an opportunity to get in on the case and get everything very much set up with the law and how he knows how to set these things up and whatnot. I don't fucking know, but point being, he threw that shit away. Like that was the end in order to catch this guy beforehand, because he was never gonna know about it until it made mainstream media, and even after that, he did nothing with it. Like he didn't pursue it on his own. So like it kind of took somebody that was this large, I guess, character on the internet in his similar space to reach out to him to get him convinced to do this. And I think that is just that's kind of shit on Chris Hansen's part. But point being, I don't want to take away from that too much. I thought the documentary was good. I loved the interview and the interaction between EDP and Chris Hansen. I thought that was like David meeting Goliath. it was actually pretty cool just to see him just fucking put EDP in his place constantly. And if you haven't checked the documentary out already, I do recommend that you go and watch the video. I recommend actually that you watch my reaction video. It's kind of cool. Not gonna lie, I do react to it very well, in my opinion. So yeah, just go ahead and check that out. And as always, I'll see you later.